Hello there, fellow Rush Royale players. I'm making this video for the new players to show them how to play without annoying their teammates and making them quit the game. You know, in co-op, in PvP, it's a good thing if you can get them to quit the game, but I mean, you will only benefit from that. But if your teammate quits in co-op, then you're pretty much screwed if you can't solo the floor. So first of all, let's see, it was here. This is curse. This is the most important thing you should know is the curse. If you see this kind of tile with with I mean if you see this negative modifier up in the upper left corner, you know that there is a curse tile in the field somewhere. Try to see which tile is the cursed tile, and then do not merge, do not eat with Scrapper, do not move with the Portal Keeper, do not do nothing to the unit in that tile. Just let it die, because I mean, unless you're the one who's carrying the other player, then go for it. If you're clearly carrying the other player, then it's better for both of you if you just send the curse tile for them. But as I said, this is for the new players, this video. So if you're a new player, the chances are that you are not the one who is carrying, you're not the one who is performing better. And that is why you should not send the curse ever to your teammate until you have like a like 2000 plus critical or something like that. Then you probably might be carrying at least in the lower floors. So unless you are as a veteran player, or at least like a whale who has paid a lot of money to become good, then then you shouldn't send this if you are a new player. Do not send this. Another one you shouldn't send if you're being carried is the exhaustion tile. This only slows down the unit which is sitting on that tile, but it's still annoying for you know the stronger player if you as someone with a very low critical send this tile to them. It might cause them to quit the game, because but it's not as bad as the curse tile. If you send this curse tile and it lands on your teammates most strongest units, the chances are they're going to quit the game and let you just play alone. So do not send those two tiles. And another thing I should mention is your deck. Usually it is optimal to use only one damage dealer, but and then some support cards. But if you're like playing, if you're a new player, I recommend using Ivy as one of your cards to give your teammates some more time, because Ivy is really good at lower floors. I mean, at lower these lower level lower what's the word, stages or something, like at like 10 first stages of that floor. The no wait rounds, that's the word I was looking for. 10 first rounds of that floor, Ivy is like pretty good, or 5 or something. But you know at the first rounds it is good to have either Ivy or Plague Doctor, because they are both poison units that kill the weaker mobs really easily. And but later on they become pretty useless. But if you're like just started out like a few days ago or right now, then you probably don't have many strong units, even strong support units. So Ivy is decent for damage output in the. I mean, she's pretty good for assisting with killing, but Ivy isn't enough on her own. You need some damage dealer. Like if you have Boreas, he's good for that. Another one who is good for that is like Engineer and maybe Thunder Mage or Crystal Mancer. Zealot is it's good for if you it's better the more mana you have, the more damage it deals. And another that might work is the Hunter or Rogue. And then we should discuss you should use like Chemist, or if you have, you could also use where is it here? Trapper. Trapper is better than Chemist, but if you don't have Trapper, you can use Chemist. And maybe you could also use Reaper. Reaper is one of the top tier support units because it can insta kill normal mobs. But and you could also use like Executioner to finish off the mobs that have been dealt a lot of damage to. I'm running this. I could switch Grindstone to like Reaper. It might actually be better. Let's do that actually. Mime is really good also because it helps you to not get stuck with like so many like get stuck without being able to merge anymore. It will help you a lot with that because Mime can be merged with any unit. And also I would recommend using hero like Trainer, probably best for low just like low crit players. Another one is Elementalist if you have her. Uh, Trickster might be good if you need mana, but like if you're playing something like Shaman, then you might want some mana. But Shaman doesn't unlock until like, let's see, Shaman unlocks at Arena 13, so you need to get really high arena. The highest arena, after that comes the leagues. So the highest arena, you have to get there if you want Shaman. And you also have to get lucky and actually pull him. But do not use Frost in co-op unless you know your teammate and you can communicate before the game and you can ask them if they're okay with Frost, because many people leave if they see Frost because it will slow the game enormously. Same thing with teleportal, this portal mage. This slows down the game, like it doubles the time that it takes to play the entire floor. So about double the time to play the floor. So do not use portal mage or frost unless your teammate and you have decided to use them, either one of them or both, beforehand. And you could use Earth Elementalist. It is pretty good for debuffing and helping you to deal more damage. This sharpshooter is good at for beginners because it kills the bosses really fast. So like before you get someone like Blade Dancer or Inquisitor or Cultist or stuff like that, these high end legendary units, then the sharpshooter is good option for killing the bosses faster. Also, what new players probably don't know yet is these talents. You have talents are unlocked after you get the card to level 9. They are unlocked at 9, 11, 13, and 15. And 15 is the max level of a card. So, if you see someone who have like at this area of the card, you see like a triangle. It means that that card is at talent 1. If it has this square, it is at talent 2. If it has the circle, or this ball or something, it is at talent 3. And if it has a golden crown, it is at max talent. So that helps you to see how powerful your teammate might actually be. If they have lots of units with a golden crown on top in here, in here, then they probably also have a high crit. Not always, but usually they do. And if you see your opponent having something like Blade Dancer, or, well, no, Cultist isn't that good in co-op without talents, at least. But if you see a cultist with like high talents, then it might be strong teammate. If you see a blade dancer, or if you see an inquisitor, they pro they probably are stronger than you, especially if they have talents. If they don't have talents, they're not that strong probably. But if they do have talents, then they most likely can carry you through floors 1 to 6 at least. I mean, even a level 7 Inquisitor should be able to carry a floor 6 if they have Knight Statue with them, or like Sword with them. But if they have like talent, especially like the Dark talent, or, well, the Light talent is actually good now too, but they nerfed the Dark talent, so the light one is also now pretty good. It might actually be better than the dark one, but if you see them with a talent, especially Inquisitor with talent and sword, as well as Trapper, then they will most likely be able to carry you through floors 1 to 6. Higher than that, it depends on how many talents they have and how high their crit is, and how high their other cards levels are. So yeah, if you see like some high tier unit on your opponent's deck, they most likely have higher crit than you if you just started out. And in that case, never send the curse, never send the exhaustion tile. Both of those tiles are debuffs and will negatively affect your teammate and you. But since you most likely have lower crit and worse units, then it will be much better for the team if you keep at least yours, but even better if you can keep both of them. So, yeah, this is my tutorial for how to play the game without having your teammates like leave the game in middle, or like maybe send you angry emotes or something, and then throw the game at the very like last round or something, because that happens too. People might get so pissed off that that they just let you think that you're going to win that floor, but they actually throw the game at the very last round because they don't want you to get to the higher levels. So yeah, do not play the units that slow down the game a lot, like Frost, Portal Mage, and the Cold Mage. Trapper, it slows down the mobs, but it also reduces their resistance their armor. So it is okay. Not everyone probably likes it if you use it, but it is much better than using Frost or Portal Mage or the Cold Mage. And also, do not use the hero's talent every time instantly when it's loaded, because that's gonna make your teammate to think that you are a bot, that a non-human player that has been programmed to do it automatically, and that is just that they might report you to for being a bot, or they might leave the game when they see you use the hero ability. So do not insta use. Only use it in when it's needed. Here's what trainer is used usually either right after a boss appears. If you have it high enough level, it can boost your team's attack speed. But if you don't have it at that high level, you usually use it only if the mobs get almost to the end. Then you just block them and try to survive. I'm not very familiar with Bestie, so I'm not going to give any advice on her. Jay, you use her ability actually like when there is a lot of mobs, but like when there's like you know like maybe 6 to 8 mobs or more, then you can use Jay's ability. It is not wise to use it for one mob unless it's a boss. Elementalist, you use her ability when it's at the meteor to block enemies. Just like Trainer, you use it to block the enemies if they're coming to the end. And if it's on second ability, the armor destruction ability, then you use it usually on bosses only. Trickster you use when there are mobs on the field, and not when not right after boss has been killed, because then it will like wait you will waste few seconds of Trickster's ability, because the mobs will not spawn instantly after boss is killed, and that is why you should only use Trickster's ability when there are mobs on the field or right about to come to the field. But otherwise, you usually use Trickster's ability right away when you can. That is the you know ex um, that is the one of the different ones. You don't usually use the others right away when it's available, but Trickster is a bit different. You usually use him right away as long as it's not right after boss has been killed. Gadget you use right away when available, as long as you don't have all the tiles on the field, as long as all the tiles on the field do not have the mechanism. When all the tiles on the field have mechanism, then you only use gadget to slow down mobs when needed. So unless you have it like level 15 eternal engine, then you will reuse the gadget instantly when it's available, as long as not all the tiles in the field have golden mechanism. But when they all if you happen to get them all to golden mechanism, then you then you can use it whenever you want. But I mean, if you get all of them at golden mechanism, you don't really need to use gadgets ability again, because you probably can solo like any floor at that point. Snowflake, I'm not familiar with her that much either. I have I have her as main hero in on my another alt, my first alt, but you usually use her to freeze enemies. This is usually she's not used for like co-op because she freezes enemies and slows and her this cold welcome gives ability to slow enemies down and you know like that. But I guess she's used to like freeze enemies and destruct their armor a little bit so that you can kill them faster, like maybe against bosses when it's yeah, I think it's like if you have her like at level 15, then she's used probably to just destroy the boss's armor. I haven't used mermaid pretty much at all, so I can't really give advice on her. All same with Necro and same with Zeus. I haven't used either of them because I don't have either of them even on my main. And also the best equipment is spear, unless you're playing something like a support team with the what's that shaman. Then the best one is the mana wand, but spear is best for any attack team, in my opinion. And the best one of these is probably Hunter's Jacket because it reduces or increases the attack speed depending whether you're playing PvP or co-op. And then I don't like the amulet of growth because I mean it's good for something like a robot deck or maybe I don't know maybe you're like only the robot deck can be viable with it. Maybe if you play something like Corsair deck, it might be good for that. I have tried it on that and it does work somehow, but not as well as in Robot deck. Amulets of Weakness. This is for usually for teams, support teams, and in PvP for teams where you want to sabotage your opponent with Witch or like Shaman. Those teams are good with Amulets of Weakness. I'm using it on this because I'm going to make this into a support account. And the magic amulet is best one for most of the damage dealing decks. But as I said, for a robot deck, amulet of growth is pretty good. I'm also going to build this account for robot trapper deck. So that's why I have the techno spear. I really hope I get the bonus stat as well for techno. It would be really good. I'm also trying to get Zeus for this account. So yeah, that concludes my tutorial for new players. So remember, the most important thing is that you do not mix lots of damage dealing units. You use one or two damage dealing units and then lots of support units. And if you are a new player, you probably should use like almost all of your units should be support as long as they're not units that slow down mobs because or teleport them back at the start because those are bad for a co-op. And in co-op the most important thing is that you do not send the cursed tile or the exhausting tile if you are low crit. If you are above crit 2500, then I guess then you can send the tile. as long as your opponent doesn't have like high talent units, and they probably are, then also high crit, then you should keep yours and they should keep theirs. But if you are low level and your opponent, I mean your teammate, sends you the cursed tile or the exhausting tile, just keep them both, because it's not worth wasting a map for possibly them leaving the game just because you sent them a curse or an exhausting tile. Exhausting tile doesn't usually cause people to leave, but curse in many cases does. So keep your curse and use a good deck. Use support cards and maybe one or two damage dealing card if you're playing as a low crit player. And thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.